You don't see it?
They put it upside down?
No, we put it upside down to show that there's a 7 in a circle.
I know, but the pyramid is upside down.
Yeah, that's how we put it, but it's really right, it's really supposed to be right side up.
But they use I mean, they can turn around.
Right, because it's a circle.
If you don't comply, then just turn it around.
No, just the
The pyramid is the Great Seal.
Yeah, I know, but
the pyramid, who built the pyramids?
I know about the Anunnakis.
Okay, so let's say the Anunnakis built the pyramids, let's say, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they built the pyramids.
So if the Anunnakis built the pyramids, why is that pyramid on United States $1?
Well, that's the old CNI, no? Is it the Illuminatis?
Yeah, but what's Illuminati mean?
It's a secret society, right?
No.
Well, they're actually like humans that work with it.
No, Illuminati means illuminated.
Okay.
Somebody who studies. And then that's it. Doesn't have to do with anything outside of this planet. That's what they tell us. In order to make us run away from our own symbol.
And that's the key thing there, that it's what they tell you. If you don't study it yourself, you don't research it, how can you confirm what he said was true?
Right? If
So
they
it's
say
always
Illuminati,
to do with study.
yeah, if they say that's Illuminati, and you say, oh yeah, that's Illuminati, and you don't really know that that's yours, because your ancestors is the ones that built that,
Okay.
then you disconnect yourself from that, because you think it belongs to some boogeyman,
Okay.
but it doesn't, it's yours.
And on top of that, what's even more important is that's a power symbol. That's a symbol that gives power. So that if they then own that and you don't know that it's yours, then they're taking your power and using it against you.
You're enlightened, you mean?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
Exactly. Right.
That's right.
Exactly. And that's what
But it's yours.
is.
But it's yours. That's your birthright. But you think it's theirs. But that's power in there. So it's an ancient power, which then they're using against you, and then you think it's theirs, but it's really yours.
It's also like evidence of the truth. Like, why is it on their dollar bill yet they didn't create it? Like, it's to do with this land. You see, like, you have to study. That's why it's more science temple, because science is the study of things. Like, you have to study to be a scientist. And when you discover things, there's like, what is it, compare, contrast, and all those type of things. That's what being a scientist is. By taking your info and comparing it, contrasting it, and coming up with conclusions. Like factual, like stuff that you can verify more than if I just say it to you and you don't want to do the work for yourself, so you just accept what I say. That's what society's going through right now.
And it's all the symbology that they have. It's not just the, the circle 7 and the pyramid. Excuse me, sorry. Like when we were looking at the Moorheads a while ago.
Yeah.
When you go back into ancient, I mean, it's not even that ancient, but ancient European history. A lot of their, what are they called? Crests.
Yeah.
Right? Have our people on it. So our crest, exactly. So but we don't know any of this. We're not taught any of this about European history. But what we're taught is that it's a place where the Caucasian people came from. But if that were the case, why are we on their ancient and their family crests and their crests for their country and for their different parts of their country, etc. So it's a lot of different things having to do with symbology, and as Graham Sheik was talking about, having to do with sorcery. It is sorcery when you really check it out. The more you look into this thing, because all of us here, when we first started hearing the term Illuminati, it was about all of those people who are pulling the strings. Now we're getting to understand that, in fact, the Illuminati, it translates to the enlightened ones, and it doesn't have anything to do with them. But they're always using the sorcery to try to keep us uninformed of what's really going on. You see?
That's new information.
Yeah, always, always, right? So we're gonna go to now the Moorish. This is the Moorish Zionist temple of the Moorish Jews in Harlem. Not just the black Jews. You guys call it somebody.
You're talking European.
Somebody ran a fraud because they call these people black Jews now.
Who?
Whoever talks about Jews that are quote unquote black from Harlem, they call them the black Jews. That's what they call them in books. That's what they call them, the black Jews, right? But their own sign on their own building says the Moorish Zionist temple of the Moorish Jews. But some people are going to call them black Jews.
Well, who would those people be?
Who you think those people be? Who you think those people
Who
be?
will be blacks?
Who do you think?
Oh, sorry. You know what was happening? It's because I thought they were Europeans at the top, so I didn't see the rest of it.
Okay.
All I saw was sort of the top head thing from
Okay,
afar,
okay.
so I thought that they were
Yeah.
Europeans. And I'm like, who's calling these people black?
Yeah.
That's why it was
Yeah.
a disconnect. That's why it was a disconnect. I was thinking, what's going on here? And so you're saying some people would be calling these people black.
Black Jews.
The same way they call us black.
Right.
It ain't no different.
But don't forget, they're Jews. They're not Islam. They're Jews that are Moorish.
The Jews, from our understanding, is a level of enlightenment. You know,
That's why they have Moorish
next to
attached to it.
Also, also, like recently on TV, like sometimes they show some old like African documentaries and stuff, or you know some person trying to hunt down the covenant of the Ark or whatever. And so there's one where in Africa where they still talk that language, like with the Crips and all of that.
Yeah.
That tribe, I think it was that tribe, or something like that, they found these quote-unquote Africans who claim to be the Jews, like, and they have no connection to, like, these Israeli Jews and, you know, the Caucasian Jews. They don't have no connection to them, like, but when they studied them, they have the Star of David, they do, like, all the things that the so-called Caucasian Jews does without having
No connection to them.
yeah. And so they're like way off by themselves, and they've been practicing this for who knows however long. No, being Jewish, calling themselves Jews, or I can't say that they call themselves Jews, but being what we
practice,
would, what we would consider the Jewish practice,
right.
like all the stuff that they do, like rocking the Star of David and all sorts of other Jewish symbols that the Jews use.
Yeah.
This was on TV.
Right? And then Drew Ali said, you know, watch the newspaper, listen to the radio, because it's going to make the European tell the truth.
But that also,
Since that time.
yeah, and that also means that they're still gonna lie to you too.
Yeah, right?
So
They ain't all gonna tell us.
yeah,
They're gonna lie to you,
true,
right?
but
Yeah.
you gotta cipher it.
Bring it in, they're going to lie to you, right? So then there's the star, like we're saying, that symbol, Star of David, right? We'll call it that for, you know,
Yeah.
right? But really and truly, that's the feds, right? Because that's the geometric representation of the feds. Coming back to you know how Jew is a degree, Okay, like this would be a sigil. This would be something that you would wear, or something that you would project in order to manifest something, right? So at this side is the top of the eagle. So above the eagle head, right, they have these stars, and all these stars are in the shape of the so-called Star of David.
What do you mean the eagle? What eagle head? Where?
Like at the back of the $1 bill,
Yeah, the eagle head.
there's an eagle
Right.
seal,
Right.
and then there's a pyramid seal.
Right, on the left and the right. or
Right,
whatever,
on the left and the right.
So,
And then this is the only nation on the planet with a dual seal in one nation.
yeah, okay, but you're saying
So
that there's,
this is above the eagle head,
right?
there's stars,
Oh, really?
but
Okay.
the stars make up the Star of David,
Huh. Are you gonna show me?
right?
Oh, I see.
To show that the eagle is wearing a fez. Because the Star of David represents the fez. So it shows the eagle wearing a fez. That's the symbology
And
of that picture.
And the Star of David is the two houses, basically.
Right, the two houses coming together. And then when you take off the thing, it becomes the mason, the pie, and the square and the compass. And then that's why all of them were masons,
Stuff's all
to
unraveling.
start.
Stuff's all unraveling for them.
right? And that's why they were all masons, right? And they have a symbol that they have to represent themselves, right? And it's a European man holding a curly haired boy, right? Or a girl, sorry, right? A European man holding a curly haired girl,
I guess woman being the mother or the
okay?
womb
All right?
of everything.
Okay? And then we have the one-on-one picture with Noble Drew Ali, and he's holding the sister, right? Okay? This is the Shriner's statue. Like the Shriner statue. Oh. Noble Drew Ali said you must change their literature. So in order to change their literature, Moors have to put out books. That's Moore's job. To compile all the information that you're finding out that nobody ever heard of, put it in a book and put it out there. Because we don't tell the story about the Moors. We're gonna have everybody else doing it except the people who's supposed to be doing it. So we'll go back to my book again about the Shriners. Let's talk about those guys for a second. The ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine, commonly known as Shriners, and abbreviated AAONMS, established in 1867 by William J. Florence, who is said to have made a trip to the Old World and was reported to have secured their useful information for the introduction and establishment of the shrine with Mr. Walter Fleming,
Sorry, what year was that?
1867. It is said the Caliph Ali ibn Talib, the son-in-law and cousin of Prophet Muhammad, was who taught William Florence the mystics of their shrine. On June 16, 1871, Dr. Fleming, assisted by Brother Florence, conferred the degrees upon 4 Knights Templar and 7 members of Aurora Grata Consistory. The Shriners, known as Muslim Sons, that's what they call themselves in the lodge. Muslim Sons. Not Muslim sons, not Christian sons, but Muslim sons. And the Moors say that we're Muslims. The Shriners, known as Muslim Sons, perhaps will argue that their ritual represents the highest aspect of speculative masonry. It is designed to teach moral lessons and further define principles of spirituality, as well as their ever quest to know the deity by all his attributes. Obviously, they didn't overstand the high science that Moors brought them, because they still recognized the deity or higher power as he. When the truth is there is no masculine creative energy in the universe, only feminine. Freemason Muslim sons realized that the power was in the woman, and the Moabite nation, which is the Moorish nation, came out of a matriarchal society. So then we have the Shriners holding up the sister because they know what's really good, because they were taught by us and they could only represent what they were taught. They can't push anything else. So Europeans wearing fezzes and things like that is they're practicing what they were taught. They're honoring the Moors. They're doing something that black people don't want to do. Right? They're going to talk all this stuff about, yeah, the Pope was a slave master and the Pope is a Nazi and all that, but the Pope's crest has a Moorhead on it. That he's going to go around the world and the Moorhead has to be represented. He has to have the Moorhead anywhere he goes in the world. There's going to be a tapestry, a big rug on a wall with a big Moorhead on it.
So, when the new Pope takes over, does the crest change? Like, do they each have their own? Or it's the same?
That's the crest.
They each design their own.
Really? Do they do?
Each design their own.
So like what if? Because I know, quote unquote, black. What are they? Cardinals before they become popes. I know before Benedict became pope that his rival was the black guy. So I wonder what would it be if he were to become the pope?
What do you mean, his crest?
Yeah.
Everybody honors the Moors. Everybody honoring the Moors.
I found this. I want to read it. It's the Inter-American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and the prophet said that we're indigenous and aboriginal. So this is just some parts of law to confirm what he said. So this is the Inter-American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Declare Section 1, Indigenous Peoples, Article 1, Definition. In this declaration, indigenous peoples are those who embody historical continuity with societies which existed prior to the conquest and settlement of their territories by Europeans. Alternative 1, as well as peoples brought involuntarily to the New World who freed themselves and cultures from which they have been torn. Alternative 2, as well as tribal peoples whose social, cultural, and economical conditions distinguish them from other sections of the national community and whose status is regulated wholly or partially by their own customs or traditions or by laws or by special laws or regulations. So the prophet said that when they passed the Constitution, it created 2 new nations because of the whole slavery thing. So you're now indigenous by bringing, as it said, you're indigenous as well as people brought involuntarily to the New World who freed themselves and cultures from which they have been torn. So that's in the Inter-American Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples.
So, what is there a year on that, like when that was put out or what have you?
If also those who were already here, yeah. First it says, in this declaration, indigenous peoples are those who embody historical continuity with societies which existed prior to the conquest and settlement of their territories by Europeans. And then it also mentions those who were brought here not by their own will. Those people are also indigenous. So if you were enslaved and brought to another land, when those people become free, they're now indigenous to that land. Because like, let's take black slavery here in America. They keep telling you, go back to Africa, but Africa ain't bringing nobody back, ain't claiming nobody. So you're kind of displaced. So to reestablish yourself and to come back into the family tree, you need to be part of the land. So now you can be indigenous to where you're at.
Okay, so what year is that document coming out? It's just interesting because, and this is I guess a United States document.
Yeah, I would believe so. Okay, draft approved by the IACHR at the 1278 session held on September 18th, 1995.
So 95. So at least since 95, they've been saying the same thing prophets say. You know, proclaim your nationality and, you know.
And as to be a prophet, those are, you know, he prophesies. So told you you're Aboriginal indigenous. And then follow it, law came about to solidify that.
The thing too is that when it talks about people brought by slavery and then freed, like it'll be a big surprise if, you know, when people start doing their research and they find out that a lot of the people who are claiming to be indigenous are, you know, pale, and then they're going to get upset and think that some things, you know, that these guys are trying to rob their legacy, that, oh, we went through slavery, and these guys are pretending that, and they haven't done their research. That most of the Europeans who you walk by on the street, their ancestors were slaves. They were kicked out of Europe, kicked out of England, sold into slavery from England. Okay, we don't want you to go be a slave in America.
That's the truth.
They're like children being worked in workhouses, being whipped and fingers cut off, and you know what I mean? And if you could go be a slave in America, life was even better than it was in England. And Moors were free. Moors were the free indigenous people. Moors weren't like
on reserves.
Yeah. Right, the majority of the slaves were from Europe. But, you know, people don't read, people don't do their research. And so when the time comes to do what you have to do, to know your status, people don't even see the importance because they think that, well, no one else is, you know, not, or they assume that, you know, the whole slavery thing, like, well, either, even if, you know, a lot of my ancestors weren't slaves, like, whatever, you know, I'm just, it's over now, so, you know, people aren't gonna dig into the past. But yo, that's why Ancestry.ca is one of the biggest websites. And then Europeans telling you a story, oh, my great-grandfather came here and he only had $10 in his pocket. Well, homie, if he only had $10 in his pocket and nothing else to his name, that's called a slave. like the only person I know walking around with, they got nothing to their name and they only have $10 in their pocket, by themselves, they're a slave. They're not gonna say it on the commercial. You know what I mean? Brother Adisa went over. He did the white slavery lecture, but that doesn't even, we haven't even touched on it. Like, he's gonna have to do a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4. There's so much information documented.
document.
But like, you don't even, like, again, like Cujo said, you wouldn't even think to type that in, white slavery. Because you just, those two words, you wouldn't put them together. And so the information just sits there. But it's there.
That's
It's there.
because 90% of the population, when you hear the word slave, think of somebody melanated.
Yep.
Automatically. You don't think,
Automatically.
although slavery has existed throughout this planet since time immemorial, when you say the word slave, the first thing that comes to mind is someone with melanin, for most people. When in reality, it comes from Slavic.
Yeah.
And we ain't Slavic,
Right.
by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Brother Tesby, you're absolutely correct. People don't get it, you know, and we're fed so much garbage
Yeah.
all through our lives, and a lot of it we paid for. We're going to school to get an education,
Yeah.
so that they can tell us a whole bunch of crap.
Right.
You know, a lot of it's a bunch of lies, and that's what people have got to start to realize now, and start to understand how important this nationality is, and how important it is to to know who you are on this planet and in this space that we're occupying right now.
Yeah.
This is ours, you know. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but
if you're walking around complaining that, you know, how come your lawn has dandelions in it? You steal my you plant my dandelion seeds in your lawn? You gotta pay me for that, yo. Now realizing like, dandelions grow everywhere. Everyone's been through slavery. So if you're talking about it, then you're a crazy person. Because everyone else is like, yo, like, the only forum in which to talk about it is nation to nation. The forum isn't like the social, the forum isn't like spending people's tax dollars so that you can have a Black History Month. That's not the forum. But since they push the forum, then they put themselves out of law. Maybe legally they're okay, but they're out of law. And so it's just a matter of time to get rid of the problem, because it's a problem. Pushing something that's, like the Prophet said, uncivilized on a civilized world. You can't keep pushing that.
You have
Right.
to change your tune.
You have to change your tune. Like, you can't keep pushing, like,
Get up
you
off
can't
the
keep
couch.
saying that, yo, give me back my dandelion seeds. You know what I mean? And obviously if the person is asking, then they're so crazy it doesn't even matter if you try to explain the concept of pollinization, so they're not gonna get it. So people don't bother. They don't bother. They don't bother telling you, yo, you're more, like, they don't bother.
Exactly.
Because the persons, they know, like we found out. Like, we go down the street trying to give a free news, like, no, it's free no.
You're
I
offended.
can't hold that. Like, people would tell us, you can't, that's gonna be heavy, yo.
Show you
Like, I don't know how I'm
again.
gonna hold that.
Just to show you again, the Filipinos, they're saying we're not Filipino, we're Moro.
So that's a actual sign in
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
crowd.
sign
That's
in
not
the
somebody
crowd.
trying to
No,
put it on
that's on
the thing.
Yeah, that's on there. You can
No,
tell.
I see
You can
the-
tell
yeah,
that
I see
that's
the
a
stick and everything, yeah.
You can tell that's
Which do we know what parade this was?
I don't know. It's just on that site, Moorish,
Or society.com.
MoorSociety.com. Just have pictures.
I was wondering
pictures.
if that had to happen to be with the quote unquote Black Jesus parade that they have as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I watched it I googled it and watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the thing that I watched showed people died in that parade because they're all trying, supposedly if you touch the statue,
Yeah.
like you get some healing or something. So people have cloths and there are people up there who's wiping it and throwing the cloths off into the crowd.
For real.
And people is fighting for it, people is giving testimony how they brought that cloth home and touched the sick person and they healed up, and it's pure madness when that parade goes on. You see them climbing on each other to get onto the float in the Philippines. There's a parade that they have, and they call it the Black Jesus, the statue with the Black Jesus, and they parade it down the street. And people are climbing on each other to get up there to wipe it with their cloth or to touch it or whatever, just to get some of whatever's happening.
when that's really thought power. Like they really like really thought
so
if
much.
this touches you, you're gonna be healed, and then they get healed.
There's a million people thinking, like,
You know what I mean? Like a million people thinking the same thing, and
Yeah,
then taking that
exactly.
and being able to
Manifests, yeah.
take that energy away with them and go do something with it.
Yeah.
That's power right there, right? But it's not power as no Filipino.
Mhm. And that's why I'm wondering if that
You know what I mean?
that photo is from
Moral.
the same
Yeah.
parade.
I don't know.
That would be interesting. Put
Quite.
together.
So we're just gonna read some of the Moorish literature, and what we draw these prophecies. I gave you everything that I forgive you for everything you did before I came. Now you are responsible for your deeds now. So I forgave you for everything that you did, so now you're responsible. Right? And certain people know what they did. So you can, you're forgave, because it's got nothing to do with me. It's the prophet talking. Say, yo, it's all right. You know what I mean? So what's gonna go on now? What's gonna go on now? Because it's your move. You know what I mean? And if we sit here and you don't move, that's default. Right? That's default. Right? The Holy Prophet Noble Ali told the Moors, I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself. Moors, be yourself. I come to set you free from the state of mental slavery that I found you in. Wake up, Moors, and don't sleep anymore. If I were you, I would get ready before you are made to do so. If you are ready, stay ready. If you are not ready, get ready. Some of you Moors are going to throw away your name just for a morsel of bread. The Moors were living up and down the Mississippi River before the European man came here. The Europeans went to the Moroccan government and asked for permission to come over here to northwest Amexem to develop this land. They were given a 50-year mandate to do so. Then the Europeans went to an old sheikh and asked him to give them some people to help them to develop this land. The sheikh told them, take those Moors because they are not going to do anything. The European is going to have to pay off our people for the work that they did in slavery and pay off in compounded interest. The Holy Prophet told the Moors, children, you are home, and the European is 3,000 miles from home, and he's going to have to take some water. The European will not be able to remove all the wealth from the land. After he goes back to Europe, mountains of gold will be revealed to the Moors. The Holy Prophet, while speaking, would jump in the air and laugh and say, Rome, 2,000 years ago I got you. You got me, but I got you today. I'm going to leave the European here just long enough to teach you how to run a government. Watch the newspapers and listen to the radio. I'm going to make the European tell the truth. The European is our fellow man. I have got the Romans in the palm of my hand. One day the United States will not be able to do any business unless they do it through the Asiatic. We the Moors have the blood of every nation flowing through our veins, thereby bringing about a cross spirit. The Italians have our blood mixed in their veins. That's why they are so mean. It will take you 50 years to find out what I brought you. And if you are not careful, 50 years after I'm gone, you wouldn't know that I have been here. The Holy Prophet pointed his finger and said, my sheep know the sound of my voice. A stranger will not follow. One day you are going to look for good Moors and you won't be able to find them. The only thing that would surprise me is if a Moor would do right. Don't endanger your life with a fool. I have the world in a jug and the stopper in my hand. I have the Asiatic and I have the European. I have the silver and I have the gold. There are going to be new Moors that are going to come in with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing. And they are going to take you, O Moors, seat you in the back, and carry out my law. I brought you your nationality, your religion, and title to your vast estate. What do you want me to do? Kill you? The Moors once ruled the world. Now get ready to rule it again. But this time it's going to be done under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. If you are not careful, your own brothers will try to put you in slavery. If your brother does something wrong to you, don't call him a nigger. Call him a dirty Moor. The Moor's watchdog is not a dog, but an elephant. I have come for the children and the unborn generations. Brothers, don't mark your fez. It shows you are free. Be the plain truth, like me, your prophet. Oh yeah, and Doctor Who was wearing a plain fez. And so was Cooper. Right? And so was Muhammad Ali. And so was the Moro. Right? And then so was all these guys.
The Republican Party as an elephant.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Members in the temple sat and watched a dirty Moor full of rage. Oh. At a meeting where the Holy Prophet was present, he saw 10 Arabians, 5 Turks, 2 Chinese, and 1 Japanese join the Moorish Science Temple of America. The secretary asked the Holy Prophet, "Prophet, these people have their nationality. What should I put on their nationality card?" The Moors were the first people, and all other people that use our name were adopted into our tribe. I got here just in time, the Prophet said. The Europeans were looking for him with airplanes and with dreadnoughts. When the Holy Prophet returned to the United States, he was asked, "Where are those books that you have?" The Prophet just smiled, but he told the Moors that he had the book in his head. When the Holy Prophet dictated the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America to the printer, he did it from memory. The printer was amazed. Some dirty Moors paid hitmen to kill the Holy Prophet. When the hitmen went to the temple where the Holy Prophet was teaching, they opened the door and found the temple building full of soldiers. The hitmen went back to the people that hired them and told them, "Don't you pay us to do anything to any of those Moorish Americans." The Holy Prophet told the Moors before the bank crash, "If you have money in the bank, get it out. Put your money in the post office. Wake up, you sleepy-headed Moors. I'm going to take you above the sun, moon, and stars, around the throne of the mighty Allah." Members in the temple sat and watched as a dirty Moor full of rage went after the Holy Prophet with a knife. The Moors just looked and would not protect their leader. Right? Like, that's what's going on. Somebody tried to kill the Prophet, and Moor just sat there. Nobody never got up and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Everybody sat there and watched. Then he's letting you know. Everybody was in on it. Everybody wanted the Prophet out the way so they could just jump in the seat like musical chairs, 1 chair left. Right? Everybody's waiting for the music to stop. And they're trying to get the person that's sitting in the chair while the music's playing to get up. Sellouts. After avoiding the assailants' aggressions, right, because he had a black face, so he was mufti, so he knew the self-defense, right? And not even that he was mufti, he was vanguard, because mufti didn't come until late. After avoiding the assailants' aggressions, the Holy Prophet turned, faced him suddenly, and as quick as a thought, he cast out the spirit of anger from the Moor. So after he play it like you're watching, you know, Minority Report. Or one of those movies and the action scene comes where, you know, they sent the guy to kill the guy. And the man just, right? And the man just casts out the spirit of a man. And he just stopped, right? Suddenly, as quick as a thought, he cast out the spirit of anger from the Moor. The would-be assassin became meek as a lamb and apologized for his wrongdoing. The prophet said, I know you did not know, and I forgive you, son. After the event, the holy prophet told the Moors, I have got a mind to leave you. Then the Moors got down on their knees and begged the holy prophet, do not leave them. Right? Like some church. Right? Right? Just like church.
Yeah, psychic abilities, right?
Yeah.
And everybody else knew that he was gonna kill him. That's why never.
Well, I mean, you know, if a guy has a knife and he's coming at me,
Nobody did nothing, right? So
nobody did, yeah.
he was able to.
But
stop
he was able to stop him.
Yeah.
Did you say that the assailant was Vanguard?
No, the prophet was a vanguard because he was able to.
Okay.
He had to have been in martial arts or something like that to know how to defend himself from the assailant.
Yeah.
You know. Then the Moors got down on their knees and begged the holy prophet not to lead them. About that time, a man suddenly appeared between the members and the holy prophet. He was dressed in Turkish garb, and by the mysterious way he came, he had to be an angel. He never looked at Juali, but told the Moors, if you harm a hair on his head, we will come and destroy you all. The Moors have yet to learn how to protect their holy prophet on earth as he is in heaven. So not only is, you know, like the European helping, the Moros helping, right? The English helping, the British helping, like the Germans helping. Everybody's helping to push this concept of the Moors. Right? Everybody's helping. But Moors don't even know what they have. And they're casting it away. When they have, when it's really for them. But if they don't want it, then hey, everybody's going to be fighting over the $100 that fell out your pocket. Right? I took the cover off all secret societies. The Moors that were in the temple during the lifetime of the Prophet Nobuju Ali said that when the Holy Prophet came to town, you would have to go to the temple early to get a seat. And you could not get a seat in the front row because the foreign Muslims would be sitting in the front row to hear the Holy Prophet. Right? They'll be sitting in the front row. No problem. Thank you for being here, brother. Thank you. Every Monday we're going to be here. All right? In 1928, the Holy Prophet and Brother Kirkman Bey went to Havana, Cuba for the Pan American Conference. The Holy Prophet and his cabinet of Moorish officials attended the conference to represent for the first time the Moorish Americans as a clean and pure nation. It should be noted he and the Moorish vanguard did not go to this conference of nations as members of a religious organization, Moorish Science Temple of America. There was an Indian chief representing the American Indians. The nations of North, South, Central America and some Atlantic islands were present. Secretary of State Hughes of the United States represented the United States at this conference. Brother C. Kirkman Bey, who spoke 92 different languages, was the interpreter of the Holy Prophet at this conference. Brother Isaac Cook Bey said that when the Holy Prophet and C. Kirkman Bey's ship was tied up at the dock, the Cuban army was standing on the dock, and Brother Kirkman Bey announced the presence of El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, and said something to them in Spanish which caused the army to stand at attention. It was then he and the Holy Prophet came down the ramp of the ship. Kirkman Bey addressed the conference in both Spanish and Arabic, and when the Secretary of State of the United States heard Brother C. Kirkman Bey speak, he said, "That's a dangerous man." The United States had lost its sovereign power in 1871, and subsequent 50-year mandate for this land had been expired in 1921. At this conference, the mandate for this land was returned to the Moorish, original indigenous owners of the land, through Prophet Noble Ali. The Prophet reportedly showed the mandate to his officials in the attic chamber. Those that were with me 2,000 years ago are with me today, and those that were against me, those that were with me 2,000 years ago are with me today, and those that were against me 2,000 years ago are against me today. I am the 5th and last prophet, and I am 5 times more powerful than I was before. We as a people were buried 5 times deeper in sinful ways than any nation enslaved before us. The Holy Prophet was ordained by the great God to be 5 times greater and more powerful than the prophets before. Muhammad was the seal of the prophets to bring the tenets of Islam. Yet every major prophet is the last prophet to be raised from amongst those of his special nation to be redeemed. Some Asiatic Muslims have interpreted the seal of the prophets into the Moorish being unworthy of Allah's love and mercy. After enduring the worst system of chattel slavery ever imposed upon a people and sanctioned by religions of the earth. Having been denationalized and stripped of divine creed, some think the Moorish to remain the rejected cornerstone of the human family. The Moorish have earned the divine right and are most deserving of a holy prophet. No messenger would be apt enough to save us. Surely Allah knows what men know not. I can do what Yahshua did, but you Moors are not in the condition that those people were in. You Moors don't recognize Islam because it's yours. Your religion is Islamism, something you live every day. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I'm going to lead some of you Moors all the way up to salvation, and you're going to turn around and go the other way. At the first convention in 1928, Prophet Noble Ali said, "The garment that I have on represents power, and if you obey my voice, you will have power with me. I'm going to free you, though it's hard, because of your mixture, which brings about many different spirits. Then, when you fail to hear my voice, you are lost. It is against the law to stand up in any audience intoxicated. The leader is not to stay out all night giving earnings away to someone else. You who are heads of temples, it is easy for you to destroy the influence of the temple. Now lace up your shoes and get right. You stop figuring out your way, how your salvation shall come. Just follow me. You can say one thing, Moors, you have made a start for the kingdom. If you want success, you must follow the Prophet. Husbands, take care of your wives and families. Wives, keep your homes and children clean. I have done more than you think. I want you to help me by your good deeds of living at home and abroad. It is through your good, not your lips, trying to be the front seat in everything, always standing in my face. Moors, be careful of your steps. Leaders of temples must be careful how they walk. They must be an example. I am not asleep. It would take you Moors a long time to find out what I did today. When you all go home, don't start no stuff, or I'll be right there listening at you. This is no social organization. It is a divine and national movement. By you being born here doesn't make you a citizen. Look what I have on. Now this was handed to me by the government. It represents the royal prince. The Holy Prophet wore a mantle of power. I have mended the broken wires and have connected them with the higher power.
That's some deep stuff here.
That's some
real deep
This was
stuff.
handed to him by the government?
By the government,
Which government?
the Moorish government.
Every time you
You
read
have a
that,
copy
you
of
get
that?
more
Can
meaning.
we get a copy?
Yeah, we get
And
copies.
it's mended the broken wires.
So can I ask you a question, though?
Yeah,
We've been having this argument with my sister about the indigenous people of this land.
yeah,
And she's convinced that it's the so-called
yeah. Indian. Yeah.
Native American, and she's going to Africa. She went to Africa today, some Zimbabwe, to bring her kid back, or her son, because her husband is from Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
But I'm trying to tell her that it's our land,
yeah,
and she's like, no, you're wrong.
yeah. Just show her a picture of a woman.
What about what I just read? Right there. Even if whatever way she want to play it. She want to say, oh,
Yeah, but let me
we're
ask you this.
bought
Okay,
slaves,
here's where
then,
my argument was.
all right, we're
So-
indigenous through this way.
The timing. When did they come?
And where did they come from?
Yes. And where did they come from?
As far as, when you say,
The indigenous, the so-called native, like the native.
Well, and
Um,
where did they come from?
well, I think it's from Europe, right?
well, actually, it's
What do you mean? I don't- what do you
like
mean?
Well,
the
it's
Native
been
Indian
said.
looking people.
Yes.
Oh, like those guys?
Yes.
Oh, no, they came from, they're a mix
Asia.
between Asians,
Mongolians.
Mongolians,
Right,
Europeans,
right,
and us.
right.
That's the mix.
That's the mix. So they were a creation of that mixture.
Yeah,
But we were on the land before them.
yeah.
So did they come over the Bering Strait over Russia?
That's how the Asians came over here.
Right.
And when the Asians came over here, they saw us here. So all
So then it was
you're gonna
So then it was that mixture.
that mixture.
Well,
And then later on, Europeans, they met with Europeans. Don't forget, Europeans said that they raped them and they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
did this and that to them. So then that's more mixture.
So that's why this is
But there's the thing that I heard more recently, and I think this is for the Europeans who want more claim for legitimacy in the Americas. But what they were saying is that they didn't come from Siberia, but rather from Europe. I don't know why, because, anyway. But that they didn't come from Siberia, but from Europe.
But some of them are. It's just like not all of us came from Africa. It's the same argument like what the European, like not all of us were from Siberia. Some of us were really from Europe that came over here and blended in with the Moors
And
because we were the slaves of the Moors.
And that's the thing too, because they'll also.
You mean the Europeans?
Yeah, the Europeans. So when they came over here and they mixed with the native people that were here.
Well, that's more recent.
Yeah, but
Well, it could be.
they don't go that far back.
No,
Don't
I
forget
know
they're
that
modern.
one is true. They
Yeah,
don't-
they're
they
modern.
know
They
that.
don't have any.
That's
They don't have any history
that's the-
really to
that's-
say.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
before
I forget,
before the Christopher Columbus, they will say that they found ships over here from the Vikings. But then that is another argument where you can say, well, who is the Vikings?
Yeah, who's telling that story?
Because quote unquote blacks are already in Europe. And we also know the Vikings is the 6 kings. So those same ships that they find coming over here is still our ships, even though they may have traveled some European passage. So,
Well, and they're
and
also saying that the only way they got over here was from us guiding them.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus.
The only way he
You
got
have
here.
to be on the ship.
And I guess I would need further study to verify the whole Bering Strait crossing. Like, because to me, I'm not even sure. I think that's more of a theory that they say that
No, that's
this was so much ice age that
Yeah.
they crossed over.
yeah, yeah. There's even a thing there still.
Yeah.
Like there's still like
water
it's
that's-
underground. Now. It's underwater now.
What they're saying is that the water was like maybe no more than 5 feet deep.
So they
Yeah,
were
like,
able to-
there was water there still, but
Okay.
you could just
You could just sort of come over and there
What
was
is it,
no.
there was that, what do you mean, there's land there now? What is it that?
no
was
the
there?
ice between
It's
there
still
and
there
here.
underneath.
It's still there, but it's
Yeah,
under
like
the
Russia
water. Like the
and
actual
like
like
Alaska.
Ah.
bridge,
I can
you know,
believe
the
that.
path.
I can
Yeah.
believe that.
And
Canada
that's
was under 2 miles.
that is the
Yes.
path that they say that the Native American Indians
So
came into the
Mexican, you
world.
say? Mexican, European,
Yeah, no, Asian, Mongolian,
Mongolian, Asian,
European.
European, the mixture of the whole thing.
It's kind of like what
And then that's why they have a claim kind of, because, you know, it's just like slavery, you know, like one drop of blood makes you a nigger, so we're gonna lynch you.
Mhm.
So, okay, so if that's the case, then
And we really are
Then-
part of this land.
if one drop qualifies you
That's right.
to be on the lynching side,
Then it should qualify you to
no
the
matter how
inheritance.
you look,
Then it should qualify you to the inheritance side.
right, then that means it qualifies you to have some type of inheritance.
And that's the
They
thing.
don't want
they're-
what's theirs. They don't want
Exactly.
fiat. They want to chase fiat. They don't
They're
want
under the same.
to take responsibility of being citizen, like the prophet said, of the land, a true citizen. They want to be a ward.
They want to be Native Indian instead of being Aboriginal.
Just like a lot of us want to be black.
Want to be black.
Right.
So they're the same thing is being run on them.
Or are you speaking of the ones who are considered red Indians?
Just anyone. Well,
Sort of classical indigenous or the Aboriginal American Indian.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah.
Like throughout the whole Americas, basically. Like if you're, it's because this is all law stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
That's putting people in jurisdictional traps.
Yeah.
So by what you claim, by your name and so forth, then you fall into that jurisdiction. So if you're claiming to be black, or African American, or color, whatever, those names, you fall into that jurisdiction. You become part of that, owned by that nation. And same thing goes for being called Native Indian, or whatever misnomer they may have.
Well, getting back to the whole Native Indian thing, we have to remember too that before the big earthquake, there was one big landmass.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, this whole thing about were they here first or did they come from someplace else? We asked ourselves those same questions as well, and everybody for a long time we all thought, well, we came from the continent.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was that it was one big landmass.
Yeah, we did come from there. But
That's exactly, and that's the thing also with like these historical separations, like different times. Like, okay, let's say the first people came out of Africa, so we're all from Africa, or that
geographical
that we're
location.
called in Africa. So everybody came out of there. Who knows how long? They all went directions. The earth was one. Now if it breaks and creates North America, these people are already there. So now,
Exactly.
You came from Africa, but we're now from here. Like, you know what I mean? So and that's it. Like, so people is spread out from throughout time, and you still have that link, but it's like, okay, if a European comes here and tells us go back to Africa, I can be like, man, your ancestors are closer to coming out of Africa than mine are. Like, I've been here we all come from there, but your ancestors came out of there more recent than mine. So who should go back? You know what I mean?
I was watching this thing I have to share with you called Frozen Planet the other night, one of these nature shows, and they were featuring a whole bunch of different people way up north, like we're talking the North Pole and the Arctic and all that, right? But they were featuring a set of people called the Dogon.
Yeah.
But very similar. The name of the people was Dogan, I think. And the funny thing was that, like the Dogon people who were astrologists and could know exactly when something was going to happen, these people, now they're looking like your native Inuits and all that. And they live in this frozen Arctic. There's one day of the year, okay, for a half an hour where the sea goes down 40 feet. And these people know exactly when that's going to happen. Usually all year long, all they're doing is getting walrus, and they're eating walrus all year long. And that one half an hour for that one day, they can go underneath all this ice and dig up and get these mussels. And it's a delicacy. So it's fascinating in any case, but it's the similarities between the names of these people and the fact that they're astrologers, for them to know and to be able to know what's happening one day of the year for a half an hour, because if they miss that half an hour and they're down there too long, it's curtains. So they know, right? It was really, and it's got me to thinking about them too. I thought, how come their name is, this is in the Arctic. How come their name is so close to the Dogon people? Now they look completely different. They look like our Inuit people.
But
so, you know,
the science, the principles don't change or pass away.
There you go. So, you know, so many things happen when the Ice Age and all that kind of stuff, people changed, you know. Some things didn't change though, some things remained in the DNA.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Right, just like we were saying with the indigenous people in the land, right? And we have You have this picture that they always show of George Washington, you know, and then there's some man with that has a turban on and he's always next to a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
But they say that's George Washington's slave because, you know, he had slaves and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're not even talking about that part of it, right? Forget the picture and the black guy in the picture or whatever. Anytime that they show George Washington in these type of pictures with this man in it,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're referring to a certain time period. And every picture always refers to George Washington as general. Yeah, but I thought he was the first president. Because if he was the first president, then why would he be a general? Because the general was the one that's selected by the president.
So what are you trying to say?
So there had
Who
to be a
made him a
president
general?
before him. Exactly.
Who made George Washington a general? Somebody had to make him a general,
Right.
right?
It's got his hand in it.
Right, and then he has his pose, right? He has his pose,
So that's the secret thing, right?
right?
Oh, yeah.
The hidden hand,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hidden hand.
And you should show her too those, I don't know if she saw those pictures.
That also
with,
goes along with
no, check. There's some good ones.
that also goes along with the treaty.
Right.
The treaty being in 1787
Yeah.
between Morocco and the United States, yet, and a lot of people will visualize or whatever Morocco over there in this African continent. That Morocco doesn't gain independence until 1900s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so how
they do a treaty.
you can't make a treaty? You're not independent,
man,
sovereign.
true.
So who is this Morocco that signed the treaty?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Oh, and again on the thing with the Moors, right? So just gonna go back to my book and then close out a little bit. The fez is an elegant addition to any gent's wardrobe, says King Kini, the suave musical matador who reigns over Club Velvet Cocktail Lounge in downtown Minneapolis. Its appeal lies in the purity of its design, the way the curves follow the contour of the human head. Its simple, single tassel as decoration. Beautiful. Kini refuses to reveal much of his past or his real name, is fast becoming a denier of cocktail culture, and also points out it's not the length of the tassel, it's how it hangs that counts.
Back down or is
Who's this?
This DJ named King Kini. So let's go to, you can get that, you can go to taboo.com/Club Velvet. Taboo.com/ or just put King Kini. That's his thing, like he wears his fez, that's his,
Okay.
you know, this thing that he does, right? The fez or tarbush were also worn by Egyptian diplomats abroad. This requirement almost caused the breakdown of relations between Egypt and Turkey when, on the occasion of the 9th anniversary of the proclamation of the Turkish Republic, October 29, 1932, Abdel Malik Hamza Bey, Egypt's envoy to Ankara, appeared at Ankara Palace Hotel wearing his tarbush. Just like the flag, the tarbush was a national emblem. It was used at the Egyptian court, in the civil service, and army, and the police. Some officers wore it with a dashing slant, silken tassel flying in the breeze. Crown Prince Mohammed Ali Tufik wore it in a manner of defying gravity, looking like it was about to topple over at any moment. Others wore it as though it were a column sweating profusely beneath it. Its shape was described in a 1937 English editorial as aesthetically and basically inferior to European hats. The practical advantages that the hat has over the tarbush is that the tarbush offers very little defense against the sun. Its long chimney pot length makes it convenient victim of any random gust of wind. And in time, if rain, it has to be mollycoddled and swathed in its owner's handkerchief in case it should come to harm. And then this is a picture of Brother Hamza Bey wearing his fez. And we get copies of the book up, we'll have them around
Yeah.
Well, we don't need protection from the sun, so we don't need
Exactly.
no brim.
Exactly.
The sun is our friend.
The sun's are good brethren. Right? And here's a picture of the Sri Lankan Moors in Ceylon. Right? See them rocking their fez, they don't play. Right? The Moors in Ceylon rocking their fez. Right?
Many people getting that.
There's a picture of Abu from Aladdin with his fez on.
So now when you wonder whether they're trying to almost make a parody of it with the fact
Yeah.
that it's...
Oh, yeah.
But they could have put him in a baseball hat. They could have put him in a little winter hat with a little pom-pom on the top. They could have put him in with nothing. They could have put him in, you know, any type of hat. Why use a fez? Why use that hat? Right? There's Lord Kitchener wearing his fez. Right? There's the swirling dervishes wearing their fezzes, and they're wearing the tall fez just like the African. The African brother we showed earlier. Right? More from the continent. So the war against the Moorish nationality is
on.
it's been on. And what's so crazy is that it's Moors.
You say it's been on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Moors bashing their own stuff.
Because they don't know who they are.
Right? Yeah, but they claim that they're the most conscious people and they come from other planets. And they're gonna do, you know, card readings for you, and you know, they know themselves, and they're gonna do Reiki for you, and they're gonna do all these, you know.
These are these
practical-
fraudulent Moors, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're gonna say that they can do all that stuff, but they don't have a nationality to back up how you learn that.
And this is the people that are online that you're saying?
People everywhere. People who are Negro, black, colored people, African people,
Well,
that don't want to admit that they're Moors because a European is wearing a fez. So they're not going to say that they're Moors because there's a European wearing a fez.
it's the whole throwing the
But-
baby out with the
yeah,
bathwater.
right. But
So-
the European is Doctor Who. He's an alien from another planet. Right? Agents.
Yeah,
Purposely put there in order to do that. Get you to just look away from
yeah, yeah.
nationality for just 1 second, that's all. That's all they need you to look at 1 second.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
you look away for 1 second,
You're done.
you're done for it.
That could be all it takes. 'Cause the prophet said, watch the newspaper, listen to the news. I'm going to make the European tell the truth. But remember, Europeans are in Europe. He's not really talking about CP24. He's not really talking about
CNN.
CNN and CBC.
Mhm.
They're not telling you good or bad. They're just telling you stuff, just random stuff. It's not a matter of, it's just stuff.
Stuff.
When he says like, he means like BBC, if anything. And if you go deep, like what is Europe going through right now? Like those are that's like Europe. When you cross Caucasians here on the street, like those are Moors. Those are Moors who got kicked out of Europe. Whose ancestors got kicked out of Europe because they're, were a little bit too whatever. Or they lived
too much melanin?
They lived amongst, and they call them gypsies and stuff like that. Like that's real. They got kicked out. Right after Queen Elizabeth I kicked out the Moors, 1607, kicked out all these gypsies. Same queen.
But how did they look? Did they look like the ones
Doesn't matter how they looked. It was their lifestyle, it was the way they lived, it was who they paid homage to. It was, right?
As the Spanish Inquisition.
Right? So, you know what I mean? Whatever they're doing, like those people are doing here, it's like, it's not irrelevant, but it's not what's really going on in the world. You take your place amongst the affairs of men. You take your place amongst the affairs of men, and look at what's going on in Italy, look at what's going on in Spain, look at what's going on in the UK, look what's going on in Greece. Look what's going on in Norway with the brethren talking about, yeah, I kill those people, I'll do it again. They're promoting multiculturalism.
Look what's going on with the summit of the Americas.
What's going on with the summit of the Americas?
You're the update?
What?
That nobody's gonna go the next time they have it.
Nobody's going.
Cuba's not in it.
If Cuba's not in the next summit of the Americas, nobody's going.
See, that's
right?
the one with the just got
They're not putting that on like last on CP24. Like it might be there in the blurb, right? But like you're more likely to get more information from BBC.
That's what he's talking about.
You know what I mean? Just because
they're European.
They're the actual Europeans. These are just corporate entities just here for business.
That's a big issue right there, because when they have this
that's big.
This what's it called?
Some of the Americans.
Not that one. The other ones that they have.
Like the Pan American.
The 20 G20 and all of those.
Yeah.
The publicity those things get, and
it's like compared.
Yeah, like they had it here in Toronto and around Ontario. They had to shut down places like fly in police and stuff, like, you know what I mean? And this one is about the Americas. Yet they're talking about the Titanic and anything else they can find to talk about.
Anything to get you away from your birthrights.
You've not heard anything about this, really. Like, if I didn't read that one article, I would not even have known it was happening.
And it wouldn't even been a topic that we discussed. And then, being that it was on the frequency, and then you came today with the update that we did last week.
Wow. That's big. But like I said, things are happening. You know what I mean? Watch the newspaper, listen to the news.
Straight. Any more questions or anything like that, or everybody's good?
I just want to say also, like with this know thyself, and for me then it'd be like, I make a little graph of this, so it'd be like know thyself at top, then it would be Islam, I, self, law, and master. Now with how that relates to all is because the law part in that is a part of it, but it's kind of separate. Like, you have to know the law. Like, being a Moor, it's stressed that you're active. And, and knowing the law, because, when you run into these police or whatever, and trouble happens, whatever, the first things that, they tell you have the right to remain silent, or they'll ask you, do you know your rights? You don't know the law, you don't know your rights. Like, people say yes to that question because they've heard that I have the right to remain silent. Okay. But, like...
Okay, stay there.
Yeah.
Be silent.
And then your silence is now, they'll put things on you and you are silent, so... Was it
acquiescence?
Acquiescence. Yeah. So there, you submitted to it, same way. I've also heard that like a part of this is like in law, they you're accused of something, and today the way the legal system works is they try to have you not go on the stand. They don't want, they'll put everybody else on the stand and question them, but the accused, they tell you it's a bad thing for you to go on the stand and say anything. Like, the crown will tear you apart or whatever type of thing they put into you. But it's also known in law that if the accused speaks, it's gonna favor you more for you to speak on whatever you're being accused of.
Of course.
So
Especially if you're innocent.
So yeah, so all of everything that they try to tell you as your rights with their legal law is to keep you from saying the things you're supposed to say or defending yourself.
Yeah. Well, they're all officers of the court.
Yeah, exactly. They have a plan already. So that's for me. Like when it comes to know thyself, that's a huge part of it. Don't leave out knowledge of the law.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's in the word. That's why Islam is broken like that. That's the Prophet broke it down. He put law in there for the L. So that's
Islam. Yeah, so for itself, Islam to all the Moors for being in attendance for today's class. And you know we're gonna keep it moving tomorrow once again. Tomorrow, same time, 7. But not here tomorrow. Because we're
Baptist.
Baptist. Yeah,
We'll have you here
Sorry.
tomorrow. Just knock on the door. It's a strange class here. And you're just missing the reading too?
Well, look toward the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is our protector.
Allah is our protector.
Our guide. And our salvation. By night. And by day. Through His holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Amen. Ashe. Islam.
You try and get a copy of that?
You know how to
Yeah.
use the
This is
Moorish?
It's over there.
I don't even know if it's on, but you can.
I want to copy this because it's very interesting. Are you in tomorrow?
Everybody? Should be.
Maybe we can get a copy of that too.
I need to, I want to talk to you. Shirts you gave me, one white shirt. Give me a t-shirt. I tried to put it on, man. It's tiny, so I'm hoping maybe I can give it back to you.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'll bring some gold pieces if I can. Yeah, no. Yeah. And when are you getting more? Because to be honest with you, I don't keep it well, but I want to keep it because I need to. I want something.
Thing is, if you know any graphic people, like we can.
They want to get off, right? Okay. So maybe we can work together on that. Is that what you're saying? In terms of, or you got graphics? Is that?
Well, I had someone, but he got busy. You know what I mean?
So we should, if we can find someone else.
Yeah, but that same graphic is available as well.
No, but I was thinking about sort of other things like we can, you know, like just a crest or something. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like almost like a this, like a pattern just with that. You know, see, like some of those different, all kinds of different styles. You know, hoodies, or maybe not hoodies, shorts. You know, everything.
Oh, you got that?
Okay, so good.
No, I'm just seeing.
You were watching those? Watching some of them, it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know, that's the option.
See how much of how much I would
I have an idea as far as the trust thing. We have to get, I have to get the written up. Once the writ's up, then everybody, then you just have to fill it in, fill in your name and fill in your amount.
What does that trust do? Okay, so we'll talk about that at another point. But what you see, I'm not working for this business. You have a business thing. You say that's not yet set up. I'm just going to incorporate myself so I can use this money that is going.
Pull the bottom drawer and see if the,
You pay it to my temple.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing is, like, do something.
$340.
Mine went on.
Why should I be getting that?
Can you make one for me as well?
So let's just work on that.
Research some time.
No, these are just regular right now.
The one that you have.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just giving you the heads up that right now, it's on, right? And so, I got the training that I'm trying to get. Like even like a place, what I want to do is I was thinking about today, once we can get a little place, that's 2 floors, we can get bored, the chairman to read to you, me and him have a room, and we start reading another. Maybe we still hold classes out, we got a place where we work, do our thing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's no going back. You know?
Good. So
All right, so good. So let's just, if I'm working tomorrow, I'm gonna miss coming tomorrow, because that's why I came out here today, right? But,